Hi everyone, welcome to the Dear Merity Bride Guide channel. I'm here today in the gorgeous Lovella Bridal salon with my dear friend Nayri.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited.
Thanks so much for being here. And we were just talking about, as friends in the industry, really how do you become a bridal expert? I know you're really a wedding fashion expert.
Yes.
I want to hear how that happened.
Of course, I would love to share. So I actually had the pleasure of growing up in bridal. My aunt was a florist, so I actually had some background in flower design and all of that, and I just loved everything possible you could imagine about fashion. And I particularly loved when I had the opportunity to work in a bridal store styling my first bride, and the emotional connection that I was able to make with her, and realizing that it's not just a piece of clothing you wear, it is the ultimate dress. It is the most important article of clothing you will ever wear in your life.
And so true.
It is, right? And helping a bride find that gown and bridging that gap in that moment is just one of the most special things that I've ever experienced. So to pick a career in fashion, bridal was just my home. Absolutely.
So true. That's what happened with me too. I went to design school. I started designing a collection the minute I graduated, and it just was never that fun. I never really thought that it was the right thing for me. And then the next thing I knew, I was designing bridal gowns for all of my girlfriends as they got married. And then someone said to me, well, why don't you be a bridal designer? And I was like, ha 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 ha, ha. Really? And then, here I am all these years later. I've been doing bridal for, 25 years. So that's what happens. It's pretty amazing.
Yep.
So I know you have a really special surprise to a big secret looming.
Yes.
So we'll save that for later?
Absolutely. I cannot wait to share about that.
Okay. So stay tuned. So you just got engaged. What is the very first thing that you should do?
Find a venue, set a date, hire a wedding planner.
Definitely.
And then this lady.
Then I'll step in, right? So that's usually what happens. The wedding planner calls. I have a great bride for you. August 20th. She's getting married at the Beverly Hills Hotel. Let's get started. And then I'll talk to the bride. I'll get some ideas of what she's looking for. It's very important for me, and I think for you as well. I need to know when, and I need to know the venue, because that does set the tone. I mean, there's so many beautiful places in the world, and there's so many beautiful gowns, but the venue kind of gives the framework, and that helps the bride say, I was going to have this type of wedding or that type or some other type, but this is the one I chose, so everything needs to kind of fall into line. Do you agree with that?
I totally do.
It's a good strategy.
Absolutely. And the thing is, though, the one thing I advise brides not to do is pick a dress based on the venue. I feel as though...
Don't take it that far.
Don't take it that far. It does set the tone, right? And it is very important because it is going to be this beautiful foundation that you're going to build on, but don't let that define what you wear.
Right. It's a little bit of both, right?
Of course.
Because I think, I'll always tell brides, especially since I know you're a wedding fashion expert, so you have probably a different opinion about this, but I am sort of not so worried about trends and things like that, because every single bride has her own vision, and it may be what's trendy and it may not be, and a lot of what I'm doing is kind of the emotional part of it. Of course, I want them to look amazing, and brides always look amazing, but I think for me, I'd like to make sure that they really are understanding how they're going to feel on the day, understanding how their fiancé is going to feel when they're walking towards them. And so it's a good way to kind of narrow out some choices so that they're not, oh, I'm this bride, I'm that bride, I'm all of these different types of brides. I'm the bride that's going to get married here. And then they can do anything that they want. They have so many choices.
Yeah.
Is that kind of your strategy?
Yes. And the thing is that I actually agree with you. I try not to focus on trends. And I have brides ask me all the time, what's the number one selling dress? What is the number one thing on trend right now? Right. And the truth of the matter is, we have over 6,000 square feet here at Lovella. We have the largest selection in Los Angeles. And with that, we have everything you could imagine. And there isn't a number one selling style. It's really what does it fit, what fits the individual.
Right. What's right for you as a bride.
That's exactly it. Yes. So I try to take the trend out of it. Yes, of course we have things on trend. We have things that are more classic shapes and silhouettes, timeless pieces as well. But I try to take the trend out of the equation completely and just figure out what is your personality, what speaks to you, what do you zip up, you put that on your wedding day, that's going to set the tone, what makes you feel the most beautiful.
Definitely. And if you're talking about regular fashion in comparison to bridal, the bridal fashion curve is very flat. Lace is always in, strapless is always in. There's never oh, you can't wear that for your wedding.
So true.
And that's also something I love about it.
Yeah.
It's nice. Everyone still gets whatever they want on their wedding day, their dream, and you can have a little dose of a super trendy item if you want, and you can just be classic, perfect princess bride if you want.
That's exactly true.
That's one of my favorite things I think about.
Likewise.
Fashion/bridal.
Yes, likewise.
So I think maybe we should talk about the wedding day.
Let's do it.
Okay. Stay tuned. So now let's talk about style actually for the day of the wedding. What do you think?
Oh my goodness.
I know. What a big question, right?
It is. And there's so many things that you have to take into consideration, which is why having you there the day of the wedding for a bride is of such value.
Thank you.
Because there are many things that can be done, that can happen. And I always tell brides, try to predict the worst case scenario. Example, zipper breaks while getting into the dress. Somebody steps on the dress and rips it.
The veil blows away.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, I was at a wedding
lot.
once, and the flower girl accidentally stepped on the veil and ripped it. Things can go wrong.
Exactly.
So you want to be mindful of those potential things and have a plan, preventative plan in
That's
place.
right. The insurance policy of myself.
Exactly.
So since we're talking about veils, tell me, do all of your brides wear a veil? What do you think?
Not necessarily. And here's what I will say. Brides sometimes, often when they're trying on dresses, they want to see a veil with every single dress. That's actually something I don't recommend.
Same.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
So I usually recommend that you want to really figure out what dresses do you like first. And sometimes you can be between two, maybe between three. I say if you're in between three, there's no reason. You got to just be. There's one and two. The third one does not.
Something has to bump down.
Something's got to bump down. If there's a third, it's just not in the running.
Right.
So I usually say we do the accessories once we finalize what dress we're loving, or if we're between two, we do it at that time. And the thing with the veil is it's touch and go. I mean, not everybody feels comfortable wearing a veil. It's something you've never put on before. But I will tell you that majority of my brides that do not end up wearing a veil, they come to me after their wedding and they say, I looked back on the photos and something is missing.
Exactly.
That added level of drama and traditional aspect is now not there, and they wish they did it for the photos.
Yes.
So even if you do a veil for 30 minutes, it's worth it for a lifetime of your photos.
I agree. And that's what I always tell the brides. I say, let's try some on. A lot of the reasons that a bride doesn't want a veil often is because she's seen one that's too full, it's too embellished. There's something about her idea of a veil that isn't what she wants.
Yes.
But putting the veil back a little bit lower, maybe having it a little narrower, not as full, all of those things help. And
of course.
I'm with you too. I mean, in all of my years, I have only had one bride who I wasn't able to convince to get a veil. And listen to what happened.
Oh my gosh.
She shows up at the bridal salon I was working on her wedding day.
Oh jeez.
And I saw her and I panicked. I just thought, what on earth happened? Of course, she had picked up her gown 2 or 3 days before. So I was like, Susan, hey, what's going on? What's happened?
Yeah.
And she said, oh, you were right. I'm going to need a veil. So she came on her wedding day to buy a veil from me.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
Closer you get to the wedding, the more bridal you feel also. And there is something about the veil that makes you, it's almost like having a sash that says, I'm the bride.
Yes.
Yes. So I do agree.
Of course. And like I said, sometimes I feel like brides put it on and they go, it just doesn't feel like me. Well, it's not really going to feel like you. You've never worn one before. Right. But even if you do something super simple, like you said, put it lower in the back just for photos, and then you won't have that regret.
Exactly. It does make a really nice moment.
It does.
For
Agreed.
sure.
Agreed.
So the veil, what other accessories do we need to think about?
So shoes. Shoes are a big one. Yeah. People don't often consider that when you pick your shoe, that determines the length of your wedding dress. That's right. So maintaining that same shoe height throughout the night is critical. And also, it's slightly unrealistic to think that the same shoe is going to be able to last you all night with pure comfort.
For sure.
Right?
No, you always have to change it. Even if it's the same exact height, having a shoe that's a little different shape.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of my brides say, you know what, later in the night, I don't care. I'm just going to put on flats. It doesn't matter if something happens to my dress. And it isn't about, maybe you don't care about the dress, but someone will step on you. Your dress will rip.
You may trip.
You could trip yourself. It's actually just not a good idea.
I'm with you.
It really needs to be the same. So that's something also for brides to plan ahead of time.
Yes.
Right? A beautiful shoe. I've even had brides who have a gorgeous, perfect, very expensive shoe, that's just for the shoot photo.
Yeah.
And then they don't even wear that.
And they don't
but
even
then
wear...
they got that amazing photo.
Correct, yeah, and you
Why
can even
not?
put them on and
You
show...
can do this.
Exactly, yeah, that's exactly correct. And one thing I will tell you, the shoe that you end up wearing all night, you want to be mindful of rhinestones and crystals and prongs or any texture that might rub on the dress and get caught and make you trip. So practice walking. Practice sitting in your dress.
For sure.
Yeah.
No, it's really good. You actually have to have a functional garment. So that's why the fitting is so important.
It is.
Because brides are always wanting tighter, 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 and that's great. But we have to remember it's not a fashion show. We want our brides to be fashionable.
Correct.
But it's really about the event and bringing your family together and making a really amazing moment in time. So you do want to look amazing and also be able to move, sit, eat, function within reason.
Absolutely.
You can be a little bit uncomfortable. I'm not against that.
I was just going to say, I mean...
Let's not go crazy.
Yeah, and that depends on your appetite for comfort, discomfort, right? But
everyone
sometimes...
has their own threshold.
Exactly. And there are some brides that will just say, you know what, I want it tight and I don't care if I can't sit because I want it to look a certain way. So that's definitely personal, but I do think that you need to be mindful of it being able to be functional to some degree and some level of comfort where you can enjoy yourself.
Exactly, and that's something you really want to talk about with your seamstress and your stylist at the time because expectations need to be met. You don't want to find out on your wedding day that you actually can't sit.
Yeah.
It's a little too late.
A little too late. There's not much. I mean, unless you're there the day of the wedding, you could work up some magic.
I can always do something, but that might be a little much.
That's a little too much. You're going to spend more time with repairs and getting things done than actually enjoying your wedding day, which is not what you want to be doing on your wedding day.
No, for sure.
Yeah.
Bustle. That's the last thing we need to talk about.
The bustle.
Thoughts. Tell me.
So, for those who don't know, what a bustle is, it's the longest part of your train of the dress, right, that trails behind you. That is when you're the seamstress, once your dress has been hemmed and altered to the proper height, at that point in time, we then bustle the dress, the train, right, to be a more functioning length for you to be able to walk around and enjoy. And the one thing people sometimes forget is to not teach the proper people on how to do the bustle. So you've paid to have this custom created functioning tool, but if someone doesn't know how to do it for you, or if they do know how to do it and it breaks the day of the wedding, you need to have a plan in place.
Exactly. That's probably one of my main responsibilities on the wedding day is managing the bustle. Even the wedding we did last weekend.
Yes.
Perfect. Everything was wonderful. Soon as the bride and groom stepped onto the dance floor, he stepped on her and her bustle broke, which was fine. I sewed it up. And he said, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. I made you stay late and work. And I said, you know what? I'm really glad this happened because now it's sewn perfectly and permanently.
Yeah.
Now you don't have to worry about it.
Love it.
And wouldn't that be a shame? This is the problem with the bustles. It's the last thing. And so if you have this amazing, perfect day, and then the last thing that happens is the bustle's not functioning, it's kind of a bummer. Right?
It's a huge bummer. You know, after all that, you want to be able, again, going back to being comfortable, right? Being able to enjoy your day, move freely, dance, party the night away. The bustle it's a critical part. Yeah.
So that's a good advertisement for a bridal stylist and for a super wedding fashion expert. So we're about to wrap up for today, but do you want to share your news?
I do.
I know, I'm dying.
I'm so thrilled. So I have been working on, and it's officially done, I wrote a book.
Wow.
So
I didn't realize it was done.
It's done.
Did you hurry so that it would be done by the time we talked?
Right?
That's
it's
amazing.
done. Yeah. So what I did is I took all the top questions that brides are always asking us and super confused about, and I put it in a book. And I actually even talk about how important it is to have a bridal stylist there the day of your wedding to help with any potential malfunction. How you must have an event coordinator. A lot of, I go into so much more detail about what we talked about here today, of just prevention and everything you need to know, all the proper tools to really help you find your dream dress.
Wow, I'm so excited. I had no idea it was so close to being done.
Yeah, it's done.
So what do we need to do to get the book?
Absolutely. So it's available on Amazon. You can go to lovellabridal.com or weddingfashionexpert.com and the link will be there.
Oh my gosh. Will you sign one for me?
I will. I would love to.
Oh, so congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for talking to us today.
Yes.
This was so fun. Super exciting news about a finished book.
Yes.
I love it. I'm so proud of you.
Thank you.
I'm so happy to call you a friend.
Likewise. And I'm so grateful for being here today. Thanks for coming to Lovella.
Thanks, everyone. We'll see you next time.
Bye.